In my previous video, I went through the process of glazing your 3D prints. This is a process I use for filling larger gaps and imperfections generally caused by rough support surfaces or print layers on spherical surfaces, areas such as on the top of a helmet. In a video prior to that, I went through the process that I use to prime and fill smaller imperfections such as scratches and layer lines. This is done by utilizing high build primers that can very easily be sprayed or even brushed on. One other thing I wanted to mention is that regardless of the process we use, we're simply trying to achieve one thing: eliminate the layer lines in the least amount of steps as possible while leaving a base that is as close to flawless as possible to put our finish coats on. Now, don't get frustrated if you need extra coats in the process. I promise in time your technique is going to improve and the process will become much quicker. So all that being said, let's head out to the bench and finally put some paint on. So we got our model primed, sanded, and it's ready to be painted. But before we paint, we need to talk about what kind of paint we're going to use. There's all kinds of good paints out on the market. You have your enamel style spray paints, you have your automotive style spray paints, you have your modeling paints, and all these paints work very well. I typically use these in various forms as a base coat. But to achieve that real high gloss, super shiny finish, you're going to have to put a top coat over it. Now here's what I use for clear coat. This is made by Akzo Nobel. It's called Wanda. It's an 8100 2K 2-part clear coat designed for automotive use. Works great. Provides a real high gloss we're looking for. It lays out really flat. I've used it over enamel. I've used it over lacquer. I've used it over acrylic. It works very well and it's a relatively simple product to use. Now, when it comes to these single part, or call them 1K enamel protective clear coats that they sell at the big box store, I think I've tried them all. I really want them to work. It would be really convenient. Unfortunately, as much as I have used these, I just cannot achieve the same type of finish that I can get out of a 2K clear. Okay, let's take a quick minute to talk about cost. So about a month and a half ago, I decided to try painting the helmet the same way, same prep, same base coat I always use, but I said instead of using this, let's see if I can do it with a can of this enamel clear. So I went out, ended up using about a can and a half of it, and I think I paid about $10 a can, so about $15 worth of this clear. And the results couldn't come close to the results I was getting with this 2K or 2-part clear. So last night I did a quick lookup online. I think a gallon setup of this was going for about $136. Now I know that sounds like a lot of money up front, but when you consider what you're getting, you have a gallon of clear, a liter of hardener. You're looking at about 162 ounces of total product. Now considering 3 coats on a helmet typically takes me about 5 ounces of total product mixed, you're looking at 30 to 40 helmets you can do. So in the area of about $4 per helmet to get that real high quality finish. And to me, it's well worth it. Now, if you don't want to dump out the investment on a gallon setup, you can also buy this online in quart setups. Now, one more thing I have to talk about, because this is a 2-part clear, it does need to be applied somehow. So what I typically use is a spray gun. I use an automotive style spray gun. Now, if you don't have one and you don't have a big compressor, don't get all hung up on it. Don't shut the video off and say, well, I'm done with this. Because at the end of the video, I'm going to talk about a little bit about some of the upcoming videos I'm going to do to where maybe we don't necessarily have to have a real high-end spray gun. Okay, we're ready to start painting. Respirator is an absolute must. These are some very strong chemicals and you do not want to be painting without a respirator. Also, I put on pants and a long sleeve shirt. This stuff's really sticky. It'll end up all over your skin and you don't want any of it getting absorbed into your skin. So make sure you're wearing your proper protective equipment. So for this project, we're going to be painting them black. I'm going to just use this Rust-Oleum Professional flat black paint. I typically prefer using flat paint because it flashes off quite a bit quicker than gloss paints would. You can use a gloss paint, just make sure you're giving it adequate time to dry. All right, so now that we're going to start painting, the first thing we're going to do is paint into some of these areas that are a little bit harder to get to. Try to get some of the paint in there, and then we'll go ahead and cover the whole top. Okay, so I mixed up the clear coat. It mixes at the same ratio that we mixed our primer. It's 4:1, 4 parts clear to 1 part hardener. You can see I mixed this to the 4 in the first column and then topped it off with the hardener to the 4 in the second column. So the technique we're going to use for spraying is we're going to keep the gun about 4 to 6 inches away. We want to move with the contour of what we're painting. You don't want to fan it out. You'll end up getting these edges that are blown out. So on this first coat, you don't want to be putting it on real heavy. We're not looking for a perfectly smooth finish. This coat is typically referred to as a grip coat by a lot of painters. This is the coat we're going to put on, and it's going to give grip for the second and third coats, which are really going to bring the gloss out. So I gave our helmet about 15 minutes to flash, and it's really important that you do this. If I was to start spraying that second coat too early, the solvents escaping from the first coat can actually cause a little air bubbles in the second coat. So make sure you give it the time to flash off. Typically on the first coat, between the first and second coat, that's 15 minutes. Between the second and third coat, I usually give it about a half an hour. So we're ready to spray the second coat. As you can see, it's not perfect, and we don't expect it to be yet, but the second and third coats will really bring that gloss and really bring the shine out. Okay, we let that coat flash for about 30 to 35 minutes. We're going to go ahead and put the third coat on it. If you wanted to stop here, that'd be fine. I think it looks really good as it is right now. I just love putting that third coat on because I think it really brings it all together. So let's go ahead and get the third coat on it. So it's been about 3 hours. Look at how beautiful that came out. This clear just laid out so nice. All we did was used a little bit of off-the-shelf enamel spray paint for a base, top coated it with our automotive 2K urethane clear coat, and really anybody can achieve results like this. Now earlier in the video I brought up applying this clear coat and was talking about some cheaper alternatives than a high-end automotive spray gun. So in some future videos we are going to explore that. I'm even going to look at trying to put some of this clear coat on with one of those cheap off-the-shelf electric spray guns. I've never done it before, but I figured, hey, let's try. So I really do hope you enjoyed the video. If you did, please like and subscribe. One more thing I wanted to do was give a quick shout out. If you are interested in this Dark Trooper helmet, hop on over to Nico Industries. It's a great source for a lot of really good files.